What if I told you that 49% of Americans self-identify as people pleasers? And out of that 49%, 56% are women, while 42% are men. Now, while I can't account for that last 2%, what I can account for is that given those statistics, it's highly likely that I'm speaking to a people pleaser right now. I too was a people pleaser, y'all. So today I'm going to give you 10 steps how to break free and take back your power. Because when it comes down to it, people pleasing is a mindset. I'm Soraya. This is Hindsight and Beyond. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. I really appreciate you stopping by my channel to get these 10 things to help you overcome the spirit of people pleasing. And without that, let's get into it. So step one is understand the people pleasing behaviors, y'all. People pleasers are people who find difficulty in saying no. They're people who get overwhelmed with the thought of people being disgusted with them or rejecting them because they didn't give in and say yes. So sometimes we do what's called an automatic yes. When we really don't want to go somewhere or we really don't want to do something, but we say yes anyway because we're fearing being rejected. Okay? Sometimes when things happen and we give an apology, we even over apologize for those things when it's completely unnecessary. Why? Because we just want to avoid conflict at all costs. Okay? So if you think about it, maybe there's certain emotions attached to that, like maybe fear of being guilty or feeling guilty, fear of rejection. And sometimes we have to document those things. So what better way than, writing a journal? And I hope that you're writing these steps down, by the way. But when we say yes to things we really mean no to, we have to figure out where that's coming from. So a good tip is to start a journal. Those things that you do when you don't want to, they take a lot out of you, a lot of energy. So you're going to have to learn what triggers you to say yes when you don't want to. Okay? So acknowledge that everyone is not going to be happy with you all the time. It's virtually impossible. So you're going to have to start by questioning yourself. And the only way you can do that is to reflect. So keep a journal on those times that you say yes when you really don't want to. Step two, clarify your boundaries. Now, I know that word boundaries has been used ad nauseum over the past several years, but guess what? That's because they're necessary. If you don't have boundaries, if you don't teach people how to treat you, if you don't acknowledge the fact that you have valuable time, that you have valuable energy, and you don't set the stage and understand how people are going to take advantage of that if you don't put your boundaries in place, then you're going to continue to be a people pleaser. So you need to clarify your boundaries. You need to identify your personal limits in areas like time, energy, and even your emotional capacity and your emotional state and place. So when you feel like your limits are being crossed, it'll be easier for you to kind of put that person back into their place. Step three, practice saying no, but practice saying no with grace. Now, we don't have to be mean and nasty when we say no to something. We just have to mean it when we do. But we can do it in a graceful way. So the next time someone asks you to go somewhere you don't want to go or to do something you don't want to do, you can simply decline their request by saying, you know what, I really appreciate you inviting me, but I'm going to have to say no this time, but maybe next time. I really appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not going to be able to do that right now. So that's what we call saying no with grace. And then that'll make you feel good on the inside that you didn't say it in a nasty way and that you still did it with some tact. Okay? So be tactful, be graceful when you're saying no. And that's one way that you can avoid being a people pleaser. Step four, focus on self-validation. I'll repeat. Focus on self-validation. I did a video a little while ago about 5 things I no longer do in my 40s. And one of those things was that I no longer place others' feelings ahead of my own. And a lot of times we place the feelings of others ahead of our own because it validates us to know that they are happy with us. And sometimes we can't make that be the focus. We have to account for ourselves and what we do and the decisions that we make. So you're going to have to focus on self-validation if you're going to be able to say no when that's what you really mean. Okay, so you're going to replace the external validation that others give you, and you're going to put your self-affirmations in place, such as things like, I know that I'm enough without needing everyone else's approval. I know that I don't have to go to this place in order to feel liked. I know that I don't have to do this for this person in order for them to love me. So you're going to have to put your needs and your validation above others, okay? Focus on self-validation. Step 5, learn to tolerate discomfort. Now, this makes me think of something that's not connected, but sometimes I'll help my 10-year-old brush his hair, and he's not a little girl, and he still acts as though he's so tender-headed. Now, I've been told I have a heavy hand, so I try not to do that. But I tell him, son, you're gonna feel lots of things more painful than this that's going on right now. And when I say that as an example, I use that as an analogy because we have to learn to live with discomfort sometimes. Lots of us have felt lots of different types of pain and agony in our lives, and discomfort from saying no, that shouldn't be high on our list of pain. We have to learn with living with discomfort. If you don't want to do something, if you don't want to go someplace, if you don't want to be in the midst of someone's company, then you have to learn to be uncomfortable saying no. Okay? They're not uncomfortable asking you, okay? They're quite comfortable asking you and overstepping their boundaries. So you're going to have to learn how to take on your own discomfort by saying no. Okay? And you can do things like accept that they're going to be unhappy with you, and they're going to question why you don't want to do something. But guess what? You can either choose to explain yourself or no, and just going about your business and actually just tolerate being uncomfortable for the moment because you really don't want to do something. Step 6, you're going to have to learn how to surround yourself with the correct support. Surround yourself with people who do respect your boundaries. Learn that there's not going to always be people who care only about themselves and always want to overstep your boundaries. There's people that are going to hold you accountable for respecting your boundaries. Those are the types of people that you want to be around. The people that know that you have time, the people that know that you have certain, emotional needs that you need to tend to, so that, they don't overstep their boundaries. They can actually respect you. Okay, in those spaces. So those are the type of people that you should surround yourself with, okay? Build relationships with people who know that you're important too, and not just what they need you and want you for, right? Step 7, celebrate the small wins. And when I say the small wins, I mean things like going back to the fact that you do have to tolerate being uncomfortable. If you say no to something and you can finally breathe easy about that, that's a small win. If you can say no and do it with grace and not be nasty and make sure that you say it tactfully, that's a small win. And then feel obliged to celebrate yourself. These are not things that are hard to do if you put your mind to it and know that being a people pleaser is a mindset that we just have to change. You're going to have to lean into celebrating yourself instead of beating yourself up for saying no. Okay? So practice that. Part of the journaling process you might want to do is to have you a little section that says, I won. And put those little wins there at, what you won for. What's the reasons that you feel as though you were successful? How did you win the day? Number 8, set intentional priorities. I know you've heard before, especially in the dating space, that when you're always available and you're always, on call for what, your mate might need you for, they start to take you for granted. And that comes because they don't respect your boundaries. But if you already prioritize things that you like to do, things that you need to do, things that you want to do, you'll be too busy to worry about saying no to what others ask you to do. Okay? Put on a calendar, put on an agenda, things that you want to schedule to do for yourself, self-care, fun things, even if it's just sleep, even if it's just rest. Learn to set intentional priorities so that you actually have a good and valid reason to say no when you want to say no. And that way, that automatic yes, it won't even have a place, okay? And then step 9 rather, address underlying causes. Please understand that we don't become people pleasers overnight, that there's ways that we can identify how we feel and how we're feeling at a time when we feel so guilty that if we don't say yes, someone is not going to like us. Okay. Was it a childhood trauma that we experienced? You know, is it because we haven't yet, made the necessary changes in ourselves? Have we been feeling down about ourselves? What makes us be people pleasers? How do we evolve into people who feel like saying yes is the only response that we have? Like that's our only choice. Okay. Address the underlying causes. If you need to seek out a mental health professional to help you, set your boundaries and help you establish self-confidence, then you do those things. But you must address your underlying causes. And then number 10, commit to long-term change. I know you've heard that the only thing that you can control is how you respond to others. So if you don't have the response capacity to say no, you're going to have to figure out a way to change that. And all those steps that I said before this, especially number 5, learning to tolerate discomfort, that's going to be one of those changes that you have to make. You're going to have to commit to what you're going to have to do on the inside. What work are you going to do in order to figure out how you can undo, I call it the undoing, y'all, how you can undo being a people pleaser, how you can change that mindset. So you're going to have to recognize that this habit, that you breaking this habit is in fact a journey, okay? It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And you'll have to work on it and, tweak little things as you go. If something doesn't work, if you still find yourself falling into the automatic yes mindset, then you're going to have to just do a do-over. Okay, and recognize that, your progress is something that's going to come gradually. All right. So commit to long-term change within yourself, because how you respond is the only thing that you can control. Okay. Now, I hope that you had a pen and paper when you were writing these things down. I neglected to say that, but you know how to run the video back and you know how to go back and write things down. If you feel compelled to leave a comment, if there's anything that you feel like I left off my list and you have some good advice to all the people pleasers out there on how they can eliminate this habit and how they can break free, please drop it in the comments. I want to hear from you. I want to know that you're here and that you're invested in your own future when it comes to doing better in your decision making. Again, I'm Soraya, and this is a place where I want you to feel comfortable. So if you felt comfortable today and you haven't subscribed, I'm asking that you do so. Until the next time, see you, bye.